Okay, so here's a quick tutorial of how to build Simulink models. So first open up Simulink. I just type Simulink in the MATLAB terminal here, and then it should pop up. Okay, and then you can start with a blank model. Okay, and let's put in a process. And I just searched for an LTI system. LTI means linear time invariant. And this will be our process model then. And let's just do a first order process for demonstration. Okay. So we can give it a name. This is our process. And then if we want a first order transfer function, well, if we go back to the terminal, we can look at transfer functions as follows. So let's say we want to do 2 over 3s plus 1. Then you put the numerator in here as a polynomial in s, and then 3s plus 1. That's to represent the polynomial denominator. And you can see you get 2 over 3s plus 1. Okay, back to Simulink. So let's say we want to put that inside of this block. We could just put in 2. So after you double click the block, you can open up this. Now you hit OK. Okay, so now we have 2 over 3s plus 1 in this process diagram. And now let's put in, for example, a step input. You can search for different inputs here. So there's a step. Okay, and we'll call this u star of t because we typically call our inputs u. And if you double click that, the step time, it's by default 1, but we usually do 0 in this class. Initial value 0, final value 1. Okay, and then you just click and wire them up like that. Neat. Okay, and so now we have a step input going into the process, but we need to store the output. And to do that, we search for a toWorkspace block. And that basically takes the output variable and saves it to the workspace. So we'll call this y. And then we'll wire the output to that. Now if I go in here, I want to call it y. And I like to output the format as a time series, and I'll show you what that is in a second. Okay, and this number up here is how long you want to simulate the process for. So 10 units of time. And since the time constant is 3, that seems like a reasonable amount of time to simulate for. Okay, and now we can just hit play. And now it's running. And then you see what happens is you get a variable y in your workspace here. And that's the output. And so you can go into the terminal and type in y. And it has 2 attributes, y.time. And that's a list of the time values. And also has an attribute data. So you can do y.data. And that is the output y. Okay, and to plot it, you could type the commands in here, but I like to write an M file so I can save my commands. So we can do plot y.time versus y.data. We can call the x label time and the y label y star. And then we can hit play. And it asks you to save the M file. So just save it as whatever. My plot. Okay. And voila, you have a plot of the response. And you can save it in this dialog, in this window. But you could also write a command to save it. And there are all sorts of different functionalities that you can use to change the attributes of the plot. You can look those up in the documentation. But that's the basic idea of how to write a Simulink block diagram and run a simulation. Hope that helps.